There are only ever two reasons why a buyer will buy. And I know that content and sales and biopsychology is made out to be so much more complicated than that. Yeah. So right now, if you're trying to come up with that magical piece of content that generates call bookings, generates DMs, generates inquiries, and you're seeing Instagram gurus and LinkedIn gurus telling you need to post this and you need to do these hooks and be in this niche and talk about your caption like this and don't use ChatGPT and write it this way and follow my method. All of that can feel so overwhelming. But I want to bring you back to absolute base camp when it comes to biopsychology and sales. Your dream buyer, doesn't matter what niche you're in, doesn't matter what you sell, doesn't matter if you sell one-to-ones, programs, service, packages, retainers, doesn't matter. Your buyer, any buyer, all buyers only ever buy for one of two reasons. It is either to avoid pain or to gain pleasure. Okay, avoid pain or gain pleasure. So which is your offer? Have you built your offer to avoid pain, as in to avoid difficulty, struggle, overwhelm, frustration? Have you built your offer to avoid something that your dream buyer doesn't want anymore? Yeah. Or have you built your offer to gain an outcome, gain a transformation, a result, a desired state? Okay, now you might think, well, my offer was built to solve a problem and you teach us to make a powerful promise. And so I've got both of those things. I'm moving them from a problem into an outcome that they want. And that's great. All of your offers should be based on an A to B journey, from stuck to solved, from problem to solution. That's the whole point of your offer, okay? But I want you to get really grounded in what is going on for your buyer right now. Do they feel that your offer is a need or a want? A need or a want? Because wants are often just nice to haves, whereas needs have a time commitment, have a pressure, have a feeling of got to have it right now, cannot possibly live another minute of my life without it. And you want to make sure that your offer feels like a need and not a want. And that's what we're going to unpack in this episode, okay? So we're going to touch a little bit on biopsychology. We're going to touch a little bit on problem awareness content, again, like we did last week. We're going to talk a little bit about ethical influence, okay? So you want your offer to feel like a need. How do we do that? Well, we've got to think about how you share content, how you show up, how you get anchored in the identity of who your buyer is. Who are they when they've got the problem and who are they when the problem is solved? And I want you to think about these three stages: desire, demand, decision. Obviously, decision is when the sale is made. That's when they've decided, I'm in, I'm done. That's when you get paid. Desire and demand happen before decision. A desire is when something is a want. Demand is when something is a need. And when you've moved somebody through wanting to needing, they very quickly move into buying. So think about buying a pair of shoes, right? It's a lovely, I don't know, let's just make it up, like a lovely heeled pair of summer coral sandals. You want them. Yeah, you've seen them in the shop or you've seen them online and you're like, oh my God, that would go with that dress that I'm going to wear, to my friend's wedding. That's going to look so great. I've got a bag that goes with them. Oh my God, I want the shoes. I want the shoes. That is a want. Yeah, you may well reach for your credit card and buy the shoes because you want them. But also you might have some doubts that come up like, oh, I've already got so many shoes. And those cream sandals, they would go, and they would also go with the bag. And do I really need it? Maybe I'll bookmark that page and come back to it later. Maybe I'll ask my friend what she's wearing. Maybe I'll show the shoes to my hubby, see if he thinks that, they're worth that much money, because they are more expensive than normal shoes that I would buy. And we start logicalizing. I don't even know that. That's not even a word, is it? Logicalize. We start evaluating. That's the word. We start evaluating the purchase. We start weighing up. Do I want it? Do I need it? Is it important? Is it not important? And we start adding doubt to the buying decision. And sometimes we might overcome that doubt and buy the shoes anyway. And sometimes the doubt eats us up and we go, no, get rid of the shoes, don't want the shoes, I'll wear the old pair of cream ones that I wore last time. Yeah, that's when something is a want. The desire was there, doubt brought us out of it, logic brought us out of it, we decided not to make the purchase. That would be the same as if, you've done a live masterclass, a challenge, you've been selling on social media, you've got the inquiry, the conversation's going really well, and then they go, yeah, I don't know if it's really the right time for me, or it's a little bit more money than I wanted to invest, or they might say, I need to speak to my partner, it's shared money at the end of the day, I want to have a chat with them, and the doubt comes in, the evaluating comes in. And that's because the want, the desire, was just a want and a desire, and it wasn't a need. You didn't make it a need. Yeah? This is where you hear sales objections. This is where people talk themselves out of it, because you didn't make it a need. You kept it as a want. How then, I know that's what you're asking, how then do I make it a need? How then do I make it so that it is so in demand that the objection never even comes up? Well, the way that we do that is we remember people avoid pain, they gain pleasure, and pleasure is nice, but you can put that off. You can postpone it for another day. Whereas if something is very, very painful, very impactful, driving you wild, you feel like you need to get the answer. So let's go back to the shoe example. What would make buying a pair of shoes a need rather than a want? Well, it would be if that was the only pair of shoes that you ever had. If every other pair of shoes that you had, been stolen, or I don't know, you just didn't have any shoes, and you went out walking around in bare feet and you stepped on a piece of glass and your feet were bleeding and hurting, you had bad blisters from the concrete, like that's a need. That makes buying those shoes a need, because spending another day without them is just not possible. It's not possible. Your feet are hurting, they're in pain, they're in agony, they're bleeding, nobody's able to help you. You'd be like, I need to buy some shoes. I cannot go another minute without a pair of shoes. And that then makes the shoes in demand rather than just desired. Okay? And so when you then take that example and think, okay, what Rachel's done in that example is she's taken away the fact that, there's all this other choice, like the other pair of shoes that you could wear. She's taken all of them away. She's made this pair of shoes the only possible way to get the solution. Yeah, the solution of no more hurting feet, no more bleeding feet, no more walking on painful concrete. She's made the shoes the solution to the problem, because the problem is so bad that the solution is urgent, and carrying on another minute without the solution is risky. That's why that example showed that the shoes are in need and demand, not just want and desire. Now, how would you do that with your offer? You have got to make it so that your offer sits firmly in between how your ideal client feels right now. They're in the problem mindset. They're frustrated, they're overwhelmed, they're confused, they're stuck, whatever the best descriptor is. And the outcome that they want is when that feeling of pain, struggle, overwhelm, confusion is gone. And the outcome that they have is something that they need. Yeah, it's something that they need. And you make your offer, therefore, feel like it is the only way to get to that outcome that they need, that feels costly if they don't fix it, that feels urgent, that feels important. So when you're showing up with your content saying, wouldn't it be nice if you had this? Inside my offer, we create this. And you're talking about the outcome. You're talking about the results. You're talking about the transformation. You're talking about the wouldn't it be nice if, and you're doing it in the absence of pain. You're doing it in the absence of struggle. You're doing it in the absence of all the things that are keeping your ideal client up at night. You cannot put your offer in the middle of one thing, because one thing means that your offer is not in the middle. It's just preceding the outcome that they want. In the middle means it's got to be in the middle of two things. Yeah, in the middle of two things: problem, promise. Yeah, stuck, solution. To be in the middle and to take your buyer on that journey of, I have this problem, but it's temporary. I don't have to wear the identity of that struggle and pain. I don't have to live like that, because it's temporary. It gets to be temporary. And now I know that this problem is temporary and that there is a solution, and that, Rachel's got this offer that doesn't just, give me a nice to have outcome. It solves everything that's driving me nuts right now and takes me to that place where I've got what I wanted. I'm running towards the outcome that I want, but I'm avoiding all the stuff that's driving me wild. Yeah, you've got to sandwich your offer in between problem and outcome, and that means doing problem awareness content. And I know right now, so many women I speak to avoid problem awareness content because they're afraid of it. They don't know how to do it without sounding like you're being pushy. Yeah, like problem awareness content doesn't have to sound like you're stuck, you're a loser, you don't know how to do this. You're not calling somebody bad. Problem awareness content is not about saying you don't know what the answer is, you don't have the fix and I do. No, 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 I'm over here with the offer and you've got to pay to get it. That's not what it sounds like. Problem awareness content is empathetic. It's you telling stories, showing that you understand the problem. It's you reflecting back on when maybe you've had that problem. It's you talking about the problem like it is temporary and saying there is more possibilities available to you than you see right now. You don't have to stay here stuck. You can be here with the outcome that you want, but you can't just talk about the outcome like it's a nice to have. You've got to talk about it like it's urgent, like it's important, like it's expensive, costly not to have it, because the impact is so great. And you might even talk about the impact of that problem on somebody's friends, family, life, business, finances, health, time, relationships, all the things. Yeah. So I feel like I've got on a little bit of a soapbox actually. Like, I am so passionate about teaching you biopsychology. I love teaching you content. I love teaching you sales funnels. I love teaching you all the things about, selling in the DMs and selling on amazing discovery calls and being great at objection handling. I love teaching you sales, but I guarantee that when you understand the fundamentals of biopsychology, everything about making sales becomes easy. Everything about selling to a human being becomes about helping, becomes about supporting, becomes about guiding, leading, not about manipulation, bashing somebody over the head with enough problem statements so that they give you their credit card. It's not about that. It's about helping, and helping from a place of empathy and allowing somebody to feel it, to see it, to really make the decision themselves to go after the outcome that they know that they want. All you've done is create the conditions, create the environment. Your content creates that sense of, she understands me. She knows my problem. She gets it. She can talk about it intimately. She could describe it, not just on the face of it. She can describe the emotion of it. She knows how it feels. And she talks about how she's helped people overcome it. She's even got a proven methodology for it. She's got a process for it. Now, if she can solve that in 5 steps, and she's done it for client 1, client 2, client 3, she can do it for me. She's somebody I need to work with. She's somebody I need to buy from. Yeah? So, any questions at all on this? My DMs are open. Like, I really want to hear from you about, where this feels tricky, where this feels hard. Because the more you share with me about where this feels tricky and hard, the more I know how much detail to give you about biopsychology. Okay? This is probably not going to be my last episode on biopsychology. I feel like there is so much more that we get to unpack to help you become an online sales queen. Obviously, that's what we're here for, but to really help you understand the fundamentals of sales and psychology and the principles of buying. Okay, I've loved sharing this with you. If it's been helpful, let me know. If you've got ideas for future episodes, let me know. And please, if you know another girly in business who wants to make more sales online, but who's making hard work of it, yeah, maybe hearing all the different mentors out there talking about algorithms and things you need to do and say and all the things, it gets to be simple. Remember, there are only 2 reasons why somebody buys: avoid pain, gain pleasure. Please do share this with a girlie that you know in business who wants to make more sales, and I will see you next week.